What happens when a simple invitation backs a night that rewrites every rule of desire? Imagine stepping into a world where friendship, intimacy, and forbidden fantasies collide in one breathtaking moment. This isn't just a story, this is a journey into the unexpected, where one decision can unravel everything you thought you knew about connection. Before I reveal the night that chang everything pows, if you've ever felt desire blurth lines of possibility, if you crave stories that push boundaries, hit subscribe. Some moments are too intense to keep silent. It started with a simple invitation. Lyle, my longtime friend, texted me about an impromptu get-together at his villa. Just a few drinks, some conversation, you'll love it, he wrote. I wasn't sure you wanted to go, but Leo had a way of making everything sound irresistible, says. I'd had a long week and figured I could use a distraction when I stepped into the car that led directly to his estate. I didn't know my world was about to shift. Leo greeted me at the door, as charming as ever, his warm smile, his hand on my back as he guided my inside. It all felt so effortless, literal. He always knew how to make me feel welcome, like I belonged. Perfect to me, he said, handing me a glass of wine with just the right chill. Let me introduce you to my friends. The villa was stunning as always, floor to ceiling. Windows showcased the moonlit ocean, and the smooth rhythm of jazz filled the air. Leo was the picture of sophistication. Dark shirt, open collar, that playful smirk that made you feel like you were in on a secret. Then I met Max. He was leaning against the sleek granite bar, his posture relaxed, a confident grin on his face. He had this rugged, magnetic energy, the kind of presence that demanded attention without them even trying. And then there was, think we'd upstart. His piercing eyes seemed to see right through me. He didn't say much at first, but his calm demeanor made Heimel the more intriguing. The four of us full into an easy rhythm conversation, loved the clink of glasses. Leo wasted life of the room, telling stories that had us all in stitches. Max threw in his own quips, his voice deep and grelly, while Ethan mostly listened, occasionally chiming in with thus perfectly timed remarks that made Yo hung on to his every word. I couldn't deny the energy in the room. It wasn't just the wine warming me from the inside, it was them. Each of them in their own way seemed to be drawing me in. At some point, the conversation took a playful turn. Leo leaned forward, a mischievous glint in his eye. All right, said, setting his glass down. Let's make this interesting a little. Truth game, no lies, no holding back. Max raised an eyebrow. Dangerous, he said, smirking. Exactly, Leo replied. I'll start. What's the most daring thing you've ever done? Answers wary. Amazing. Max once snuck into a concert. Ethan admitted he'd taken an unplanned trip to Asia on a whim. When it was midterm, all eyes were on me. I laughed nervously, taking a sip of my drink. I'm not sure I've done anything that daring. Max's grin widened. You seem like you have it in you. Leo leaned closer. We could change that tonight. The air in the room shifted, charged with something I couldn't quite name. And then Leo asked the question that changed everything. If you could spend the night with anyone here, who would it be? My heart raced as their gazes fixed on me. I knew they were teasing, but the intensity in their eyes told me they were waiting for an answer instead of choosing. I found myself saying, why not all three? It was meant Asa. Joke, at least that's what I told myself, but the way they looked at me, that made it clear. They were all thinking the same thing. Leo was the first to move. He stepped closer, his hand brushing against mine as he took my glass and set it on the table. You always did know how to steal the spotlight, he said softly, his voice smooth and low. Hishin lingered on mine, and when he tilted us head, his lips met mine in a slow, deliberate kiss. It was warm, inviting, and just a little teasing, like he was to sting the waters. My breath caught as she's other hand slid to the small of my back, pulling me closer. Then I felt Max behind me, his presence so mystical. He placed his hands on my hips, his touch firm but patient. Don't think you're getting all the attention, murmured into my ear before trailing a line of kisses down the side of my neck. Leo's hand slid over my hips, and Max's warm palms gripped my wrist, grounding me as they exchanged a knowing look over my shoulder. Their touches different, yet perfect, like complementary flooded my senses. Ethan was in front of me, his gaze steady, a mix of admiration and desire as he reached out. Tracing a slow line from my collarbone to my jaw, his touch was gentle yet firm, like he wanted to savor the moment Max's lips found my shoulder. And I felt the contrast between the scratch of his stubble and the softness of his. Kish's hands moved confidently, finding the zipper of my dress. The fabric gave way under his touch, sliding down my body. In a silky whisper, I stood there for a moment. The cool air brushing over my bare skin, but it didn't last long. Leo's hands skimmed the sides of my thighs, his lips pressing warm. Feather kisses along the curve of my neck. "You're beautiful," he murmured, his voice low and drilly. Ethan stepped closer, his hand sliding along my arms as his lips claimed mine again, this time deeper, slower. His kiss made my knees weak, and I leaned into him instinctively, my hands gripping his shoulders for balance. He behind me. Max let out a low chuckle, his hands guiding me gently, insistently toward the couch, letting that get comfortable. He said, his voice full of promise, as they lowered me onto the plush cushions. I felt an intoxicating mix of anticipation and surrender. Max knelt beside me, his large hands tracing the curve of my waist, his touch sending shiver through me. Leo moved behind me, his presence steady and grounding as his hand slid to the small of my back. Ethan was beside me, his eyes never leaving mine as he reached for the strap of my bra, his fingers brushing my skin, slid it down slowly, his movements deliberate, as though he wanted to savor every moment. Leo leaned in from behind his lips, grazing my ear. "You're incredible," he whispered, his voice so soft it was almost a murmur. Max's hands found the clasp, and in one smooth motion, the last barrier fell away. I gasped at the feeling of their hands exploring me, each touch deliberate, reverent, like they were memorizing every inch of my skin. Ethan kissed me again, his lips soft but insistent as his hands moved lower. His touch was warm, grounding, while Max's was rougher, more impatient. Leo's fingers traced patterns along my back, his movement soothing yet electrifying. Max's lips found my collarbone, and his hands gripped my hips, guiding me onto his laugh strength was undeniable, and I felt a deep pull as he positioned me just where he wanted me. Ethan's hands steadied me, his eyes dark with intensity as he leaned in, his lips finding mine. Leo moved to the side, his shins brushing over my thighs, his lips grazing my neck as he whispered, "You're everything." I imagined they took their time, each one bringing a different energy. Max's confident dominance, Ethan's slow and steady affection, Leo's teasing playfulness. I felt every touch, every kiss, every whispered word with an intensity that left me breathless. Max's hands guided me movements, his grip firm yet gentle as Ethan leaned down, his lips brushing over my shoulder. Leo's fingers interlaced with mine, his steady presence centering me as I gave myself over to the moment. And then it happened, a moment so raw, so all-encompassing, it left me gasping, my body trembling under their combined touch. Was more than just passion, it was an explosion of connection, a symphony of sensation that left me breathless and completely undone. With night unfolded in a blur of movement and sensation, their touch, their words, way they worked together to keep me at the center of their focus. It wasn't just physical, it was an unspoken connection, an unyielding energy that flowed between the four of us. Hours later, we lay tangled on the couch, the soft glow of the moonlight washing over us. Max leaned back, his arm draped lazily over me, his breathing steady and deep. Ethan was on my other side, his fingertips mildly tracing patterns on my arm. He glanced at me with a soft smile, his expression equal parts admiration and satisfaction. Leo sat at the edge of the couch, his hand resting on my legs. He looked out at the ocean, that hesed breaking. The silence was worth wait. Max chuckled, his voice low and warm. I think we'd all agree on that. I smiled, my chest still rising and falling in the aftershocks of everything that had just happened. "I don't think I've ever had a night like this," I admit softly. Ethan leaned down, pressing a gentle kiss to my temple. "You deserved," I've said simply, his voice filled with a sincerity that made my heart ache in Thebes way. The night faded into soft laughter, and Quiet conversation, the four of us basking in the glow of the connection we'd shared it, was more than just passion. It was armament that would stay with me forever. Astery I'd replay in my mind for years to come. Your turn. Have you ever had a night hat completely transformed you? A moment so raw, so powerful that it changed everything. Drop your most daring, most vulnerable story in the comments. Bella Wand. If this story resonated with you, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and let's keep these real, unfiltered, converse going your truth, might be a story that sets someone else free.